Wow, check this out. It's like I have an awesome wave on my head. That just happened. I'm keeping this, man. This is like beehive. Wow. And I love the white. That's stress. Awesome. Look at that. All right, so this video is going to be, I think it's an important one, and I'm not looking forward to, I am looking forward to making it, otherwise I wouldn't do it, but there's a lot of, no matter what anyone says, even if they're considered to be, to have credentials, people are generally going to believe what they want. So this is addressing some things that are going around the internet that people may or may not know the validity of. I'm not going to say truth, although there is a truth. There's so many things. People are sending me stuff all the time. That's why I'm doing this video. I got a good one this morning. And they're people, smart people, you know, they genuinely just don't know, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And so I really hope I can help with that this time. So I'm going to start with my friend Alethea's, if I can concentrate with this awesome rad hairdo, man. With my friend Alethea's message this morning, it came from a source of a source type thing, and it's one of these recorded messages that came from someone on the ground in Wuhan at the front lines, following a bunch of autopsies that they did, I suppose, on some of the original dead, and the conclusions that they drew as to the best course of action to take to prevent getting sick and to help you if you are already in like the pneumonia stage, for example. And before I say anything else, there are some, like, anything that you do, that you hear, that's not going to hurt you is fine. Like, if somebody says, sunlight, does this, it's like, okay, even if it doesn't, it's a good thing to go out in the sun. So now's the time to really like use your common sense and ask yourself the question. If someone's saying, increase your zinc, okay, so what's zinc? Find out what zinc is. Find out what it does to your body when you ingest it. Find out a regular amount of, like, recommended dose of zinc in the form of nuts, for example, that a person like you, female, male, aged, whatever, should be ingesting every day, and just adhere to that. The reason why it's dangerous now for information to be going around, and I do use the term loosely, is because people get a false sense of security when they hear something. This is going to save me. This is going to help me. There's already a dual drug combo on the go now, so we don't have to worry anymore. That is so dangerous because we still have to do exactly what hopefully people are doing now, which is social distancing and isolation. This is a long intro, but I'll get into what the lady in this recording that my friend Alethea, hi Alethea, sent me privately this morning. So the claim was that they found, these Chinese researchers found, that because of the infiltrates into the lung, the lungs literally get thick and like mucusy and gross, and it really obstructs breathing, like the breathing process. This is mostly due to immune infiltrates and the destruction of the cilia on the cells in the lungs that are supposed to be used to fluff the bad guys away. So the claim is, in order, if you're at the stage of pneumonia and you have this mucousy thick infiltrate and you're struggling to breathe, the medicines that they're administering won't be as effective as if you use hot liquid to kind of break up the mucus. Now, I have absolutely no problem with believing that, because hot liquid breaks up mucus. We all know that. That's why we use vaporizers when we're full of snot and mucus when we have the flu. That's why they say drink lots of soup, drink lots of tea. Hot is good to counteract the effects either directly from the virus or from the immune system kind of overreacting. Hot liquid is good. And usually when you're drinking hot liquid, the base is water, so you're also hydrating. Unless, it's some kind of, diuretic, which is something that makes you pee more. But this is something, most of us know. Green tea, for example, black tea, even coffee. I mean, I'm not saying coffee's gonna cure you. See, this is the dangerous part. What I'm saying is I have zero problem with anyone accepting the reality that drinking more hot liquids is gonna be good for you, whether you're sick or not. Now, there was also something going around that says don't do cold liquids. I never heard anything about that. And if you're living in the Middle East or a desert country or somewhere where it's hot now, you have to use your common sense and balance anyway. Like if you're hot, if you're sweating, I mean that's a good thing. It's like mimicking a fever type, situation if you're sick. But if you actually need to cool down, a cool drink is a good idea. So it's not a rule. It's about common sense. That's all I'll say about that. There was also, they mentioned something about sunlight. Like if you go outside and you're interacting with public surfaces, I'm talking about sitting down on a bus. I'm talking about sitting down on a bench. I'm talking about any time your clothes or your skin comes into contact with a surface that is probably not clean. They were like, take the clothes off, throw them in the washer immediately, take a bath. It was pretty intense what they were advising, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that either. But I think, again, a modicum of common sense. Now, having said that, I'm going to tell you what I do. First of all, I don't sit down on public surfaces, not right now, because I'm not really going out and doing anything interactive anyway. When I go out, it's to surf or to walk. But if I do, the first thing I do is actually what they suggested in the video. I take my clothes and I hang them out the window so that they get direct air and sunlight, which kills viruses. That's another thing. Most people are like, is that true? And yeah, it is. Fresh air is like the enemy of bugs. It's the enemy of both viruses and probably some molds. Sunlight is like the antithesis of most molds, actually. I'm doing some research now about the effects of UV, which I know are antiseptic because we used to use them in our level 3 biosafety hoods to clean, the environment. But the sun, that's a different wavelength, I believe. So I'm doing some more research on that. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with throwing your clothes outside and getting them out into the fresh air. I know in a lot of places it's cold now, it's winter, but even if you get a little bit of sun and your coat, the one that you always wear, I'm not saying it has any virus all over it. This is, again, common sense. But if you just want a fresh feeling in your clothes and you don't want to put it in the washing machine, put it outside. I'm never going to not recommend that. Outside rules. What else? Here's a good one. I've heard that, or it was reported that a dog got infected by this virus from a human. That was confirmed, I believe. And it was also confirmed, I don't know how they confirmed this, because you can't really confirm something until it happens, that there is no reverse transmission. Like, there's no transmission from the animal back to the human. And they also said there's no transmission from animal to animal. So when I hear people saying about anything, this can't happen, I'm like, really? So don't ever take anything for granted. Maybe that's the piece of advice I can give here. It hasn't happened yet, but neither has what we're going through now. What we're going through now is completely unprecedented, and nobody could have predicted this. So I'm not saying you have to take any precautionary measures if you feel good. But if you're sick, if you've been diagnosed, if you've had a test and that you're positive for this, and you're sick and shedding, I wouldn't go near your animals. Let's put it that way. Treat them like the people in your life, okay? Because we don't know. That's the point. Yeah, that's the animal subject. I'm going to take a moment and try and come up with some... one more before I go on to the next segment. My friend Jennifer Newhook is a good friend back in Newfoundland. And she asked today about the Coraquine azithromycin combination that Didier Raoult has been promoting lately. Apparently, recently there's been a study done that shows that a combination of two different kinds of drugs. One is an anti-malarial, and I think the other one was an anti-HIV drug, but don't quote me on that. And they saw a 100% reduction of viral load when a combination of these drugs was used. It was more successful than using one alone. I take everything with a grain of salt, and I always ask myself the question first, would I do that? Would I take these two drugs together? And the answer is, I don't know. It would have to depend on how close to death I was. If I was about to die, I'd probably say yes. Otherwise, I'd say no way, because the list of side effects for chloroquine alone is like, it's really long. There's something going on in my ceiling. So to answer questions about it, it's too early to say anything. We need follow-up studies. But having said that, we're in a crisis here, and we may need to use this to save a few people, or maybe a few thousand people before long. Side effects or no, this is going to be a decision that has to be made between the healthcare professionals and the patients, and I guess the patients' families as well. I didn't do the study, I didn't do the research, I didn't set up, the study, so I cannot confirm or deny. But this guy, Didier Raoult, he's someone who I know this guy, not personally, but he studies rickettsia, which is something that I did a postdoc on years ago. So he's the real deal. So I don't doubt the validity of what he found. I just doubt whether or not using these two drugs together is something that we should all run to, or should we be cautious? Do we have time to be cautious? I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, Jennifer, but I'll think about it some more. pertaining to vaccines, I mean, this is going to be the next part, but it's being rushed, as everybody knows, and it's being rushed by many different countries. Like everyone's trying to win this race, and it's not that it takes a long time to actually come up with a vaccine, but statistically, like even if your vaccine is working in your animal model, because first you have to create it, and you have to test it on animals, then you have to test it on humans, and I think it's 1 in 3 that work on animals will work in humans. And then the really sketchy part, are there going to be any long-lasting side effects, which we cannot know until we use it. So, I mean, vaccine development is, the DNA vaccines now are like, you know, they're awesome. So, yeah, it's a question for debate. I mean, and I will get into that. And when I do, this is going to only be coming from me. I don't. I'm not going to make any claims because I have my own kind of distinct views on vaccines when they're applicable. So I'll take a coffee break and come back. Hello. Well, that was more than a coffee break for me, but for you guys, maybe it was just a minute. So I can think of 2 more questions, or 2 more like online things that are going around that I can address right now. One of them is you know, was this made in a lab to destroy? You know, and maybe I shouldn't have done that like dramatic thing just now, but we don't know. That's the bottom line. There's no use being generating like conspiracy theories, so-called, or being a part of. There's no point using your energy for things that we don't know the answers to. That's the best way I can say it. It's absolutely possible that it was created in a lab, because everything is possible. I don't think it was, if you want to know what I think. I think this is the byproduct of SARS. I think it was, it remained in an animal species from the time that we went through that whole debacle with SARS. And it was just doing its thing in that animal, mutating, you know, having a party, doing its thing, hanging out until it met the right circumstances. I don't know, evolution took place, jumped into an intermediate host. It's very plausible that that's what happened. It's absolutely believable because, I mean, that's how it happens. It's a natural process, and when you put certain things into the same bowl, you're going to end up having, you know, pasta or bread at the end. I mean, you can't expect nothing to happen when you throw so many things into a bowl. And I'm referring to kind of messed up things that probably wouldn't be happening if humans weren't involved, like these wet market things. I mean, oh God, that's just, you know, that's a nightmare waiting to happen, like in so many ways, on so many levels. Sorry, I had to pause. I heard a weird sound. So anyway, it's if you do certain things, other certain things will happen as a result. That's just how it works. That's nature. The other thing that I wanted to address. So yeah, maybe just to summarize, like, don't waste your energy on stuff that, you know, we don't know the answers to. Instead, put your energy into really trying to find an answer by digging. Sometimes it's hard to find uh, the truth. But it's there. I believe it's there, and all we have to do is, we have this magical internet thing. If we were like the AIs and we could just go into the information database, our brains would explode and ooze out our ears. But imagine the things that we could put together, like from an investigative point of view. There's an enormous amount of research and data just ready to be explored. So that's what I would put my energy into. What was the other thing that I wanted to talk about, address? Okay, I got a good one. This thing about antipyretics, which is these things that you take to bring fever down. Should you take them or should you not? Because it's like I'm seeing that I've been ignoring it, but I realize that it's a thing for people. So the WHO and the CDC, I guess, are like, oh yes, no. So before I answer anything about any specifics, I don't think you should take anything in this time, because you could be masking a symptom that is almost 100% of the time associated with this particular virus, which is fever. If you have a fever, your body is doing that on purpose. Like, higher temperatures burn off invaders. That's why you get a fever when you get sick. It's your immune system's way of burning the shit out of the field. Sorry, I swore again. But on the front of masking a symptom that is used as a diagnostic element in this, yes, I know you can get a fever with flu and cold as well, but there are other things associated with this NCOV 2019, but fever is one of them. I wouldn't take anything. If you have a headache, find out why. Maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe you need some caffeine. I've actually had a headache for about a week now, and this is like, it's a tension headache. I haven't taken anything just because of that reason. I don't want to mask a fever if I happen to get one. Now, if you're like dying of menstrual cramps, sorry kids, for example, and you really need some relief, well, the best thing you can do, I can't talk about here. Anyway, it's being recommended that you take paracetamol instead of ibuprofen. The reason for that is apparently ibuprofen has some kind of effect on the virus that causes it to be worse, a worse situation, a worse pathology. I don't know the details, but like I said, I'm not paying any attention to this. But you know what? Okay, so if you want to listen to the WHO, paracetamol is the way to go in terms of pain relief. But you should know that it's going to mask a fever if you get one. I have a question for you guys now. I just saw something that said that, okay, so Tom Hanks is apparently one of these so-called celebrities who's tested positive. And I just read that he got arrested. And I do know that there's some really weird stuff going on the subject of the police enforcing the rules imposed by governments. Can anyone confirm that? Does anyone have any inside info into that? Because in a weird kind of way, I kind of care about Tom Hanks. He seems like a really nice person, and if he's been arrested, it has to be, there has to be something weird going on. That's it for now. I'm going to close off this video. Somebody suggested earlier that I should have a watch party, and I really like that idea, because then I missed so much here. And, people can ask while I'm actually here, which is way more effective, because then it's much more like give and take. And I can ask you stuff too, which would be nice for me. So maybe I'll do that. It takes like 5 hours for me to upload these videos to YouTube. So by the time it'll be done, it'll be 7:30 and I'll be in bed. So that's my timeline. But who knows? Maybe I'll try. Another thing I wanted to acknowledge was I'm sorry, kids. I haven't been as entertaining as I was in the first ones. I'm thinking about this. And maybe I'm doing too much talking, but I also think that this is important. So just know that I'm thinking about it, and I'm trying to go back into my child self and remember what I might have liked and how I might have liked to have heard things. So anyway, I'm thinking about you guys. Take care of you.